The quiet place where no one screamed. Gray Hollow did not welcome newcomers. It tolerated them. The town sat in a shallow valley where sound behaved strangely. Voices carried too far. Footsteps echoed longer than they should have. Even laughter felt intrusive, as though the air itself resisted it. Evan Mercer noticed this on his first day. When he stepped out of his car, the silence pressed in, not empty silence, but the kind that felt occupied. He shut the car door, and the click echoed down the street like a gunshot. Several curtains twitched. No one came out to greet him. Yet by nightfall, everyone knew his name. The grocery clerk already had his change counted before Evan reached the counter. The bartender poured his drink without asking. The motel owner reminded him, smiling thinly, "Lights out before 2, you'll sleep better." Evan laughed. No one else did. Mrs. Helen Crowley's death was officially labeled natural. Unofficially, it was wrong. Evan stood in her living room while the sheriff spoke softly into his radio. The room smelled faintly of antiseptic and iron. Helen sat upright in her chair, spine straight, chin lifted, as though someone had positioned her. Her eyes were open. Her pupils were dilated so wide the irises were nearly gone. But it was her mouth that made Evan's stomach turn. Stitched shut. Not sloppily, not hurriedly. Each stitch was precise, evenly spaced, pulled tight enough to dimple the skin. Whoever had done it understood anatomy, understood pain. Evan leaned closer. There was blood behind the stitches. Old blood, dried inside her mouth, crusted at the corners. She had bled while alive. "She scream?" Evan asked quietly. The sheriff's jaw tightened. She didn't need to. Evan began staying awake past midnight. At exactly 2 a.m., the town changed. Lights went out one by one, as if following a silent signal. Dogs that barked all night fell quiet. Even the wind seemed to hesitate. Then came the footsteps. Always the same rhythm. Slow, dragging, uneven, like something learning how to walk again. One night, Evan followed the sound. He watched from behind a parked truck as the figure passed beneath a streetlight. It was tall, too tall. Its limbs were slightly misaligned, as though assembled incorrectly. Its skin was gray and cracked, pulled tight over bone, and its mouth sewn shut with thick black thread. The thread moved, not from breathing, from something pushing against it from inside. Tommy Reed was 16. His body was found 3 days after his disappearance. They said he had hanged himself. That lie fell apart the moment Evan saw the tree. The rope was too high, the branch too thin, and Tommy's feet were broken. Every toe shattered, both ankles crushed inward. He had been forced to stand while the rope tightened. His mouth was not stitched shut. Instead, his jaw had been wired closed, teeth forced together so tightly several had cracked. The coroner wouldn't meet Evan's eyes. "They learn," the man muttered. "What learns?" "The woods." That night, Evan heard screaming, real screaming. It came from the forest. It didn't last long. Beneath the abandoned church, Evan found the cellar. The door had been reinforced from the outside, thick iron bolts, scratches gouged deep into the wood. Inside, the walls were blackened, burn marks, chains embedded into stone, and in the far corner, bones. Human bones. Some charred, some gnawed. The journal he found there belonged to Silas Boone. The pages grew more unhinged the deeper Evan read. The dark listens when I scream. Pain opens the door. It crawls into me when I am quiet. Silas had survived the fire, but something followed him back. Something that learned to wear him. Silas did not die in that cellar. He molted. The thing in the woods used his pain like a mold, reshaping him, burning him, hollowing him out. Every scream fed it. So the town made a choice. They stopped screaming. They learned silence. And when silence was not enough, they sewed it shut. On Evan's final night, the knocking began at 2:17 a.m. 3 taps. Slow. Polite. When Evan opened the door, the smell hit him first. Burned meat, rot, damp earth. Silas Boone stood on the porch, or what remained of him. His chest rose and fell, but not from lungs. Something else pulsed beneath his ribs, pressing outward like a second heart. Silas raised one hand. Inside his palm was a needle, thread already soaked dark. Evan tried to run. The floorboards screamed. Silas reacted instantly. Too fast. Hands clamped around Evan's throat, forcing him down. The pressure was inhuman, bones shifting, cartilage bending. Silas leaned close. Evan heard the whisper inside Silas's head. "Be quiet." The needle went in. Evan was found at his desk, eyes open, hands folded, mouth sewn shut so tightly the skin had torn. Blood covered the notebook. Inside, the final entry read, "It is not killing us. It is preserving itself. Noise lets it grow. Silence keeps it human." The sheriff burned the notebook. The town slept. And deep in the forest, something waited, listening. Sometimes visitors pass through Gray Hollow. Sometimes they laugh too loudly. Sometimes they scream. The woods remember, and the stitches are always ready.